Football Manager 26 is finally here, and whilst you have had a year at this point to plan your save game, maybe you're launching the game needing a little bit of inspiration. Well, my friends, this is the video for you. This is 10 great save games to kick off FM26. Let's get straight into things. Up first, we have Rayo Vallecano. Yes, the Spanish side have a media prediction of 14th going into the 25-26 season, but last year they matched their best ever finish by finishing 8th. And as a result of that, for only the second time in the club's history, they are playing in European football, and you're going to be featuring in the Conference League. And one thing that makes this save game interesting immediately is the chairperson is looking to, well, move on and leave the club. So every time you do a Rayo save, it's going to end up being a little bit different. Now, alongside European football, the one thing that makes this save interesting and Rayo really unique is their squad age. Yes, their average age of their squad is 28. Their team is the oldest squad in all the major leagues across Europe. And when you sort the team by ability, you start to realise that whilst this team did have a really, really good season last year, to actually sustain success, they are going to need a little bit of a rebuild. Florian Lejeune is your key man, but at 34 years old, yeah, he's probably not going to be your best player for very long. Board expectations for the first year are a top half finish. That is going to be far from easy, because if you look at the season preview here, very much planted to be in the bottom half. And of course, when it comes to the long-term aims of this save game, I think it's kind of obvious. You're in Spain. You are a team based in Madrid. You want to be better than Atleti. You want to be better than Real. Are you going to be able to achieve it in the time span of the beta? Maybe not. Well, maybe. Some of you are absolute fiends and play many hours. You know what, though? I think this is a fun one. Now, when it comes to the teams in this list, there really is a big mix, and I suppose that is surmised by number 2, Auckland FC, playing in the A-League. Now, the New Zealand side actually joined the A-League last year, and as a result, this is their first ever year in Football Manager. Your local rivals are Wellington Phoenix, and obviously the main aim, be the best team in all of Australia and New Zealand. Now, you will note in the bottom left corner, it says in the club history the team won the A-League last year, which, well, they finished top of the league stage. They didn't win the entire championship, though. Yeah, the A-League is one of those weird and wonderful leagues where things are very rarely straightforward. A 16 post-season playoff, and last year it was Melbourne City who ended up winning it all. And as a result of that, rather cruelly may I add, this team does not have any continental football going into their second ever season. Board expectations for your first year are going to be to reach the A-League Final Series semi-final. Obviously not quite as far as they went last year. The dream, I suppose, to win it all this time around. Hiroki Sakai is certainly one of the standout players in the team, but at 35 years old, the versatile defender, it might be his last rodeo. In terms of good players going forward, May is certainly the standout striker. The 27-year-old, a very, very good player for this level. The only word of warning I would give when it comes to doing this save game is the A-League is one of those weird and wonderful leagues that has a lot of rules, including a salary cap, designated players, and other things that make me a little bit scared. So if you like reading, this is probably the save game for you. As for our third team in this video, we're going a little closer to the major leagues in Europe, and we're heading, well, to one of the major leagues in Europe. We're heading to Lille, and before I get into this, I know some people are going to be sat thinking, really? Lille? Lille, I want a challenge. I've got some challenging teams coming up, and I really do mean that. I think I might have found the hardest save game in this year's game. Why Lille, you may ask? I think the answer's rather obvious. It's fun to take down PSG, and when you're looking for a shorter-term save game for the beta, I think this is a good one, especially because Lille have the best wonderkid in all of Football Manager this year. And I know what you're thinking, Jack, you could just, you know, you can't say that. There's players like Yamal, isn't there? There's some very good players with -10 potential. Well, what if I told you that Buadi, making his debut in Football Manager this year, has the highest potential it's possible for a player to be given by a Football Manager researcher? This is the man to build your team around. The 17-year-old is absolutely sensational. Naturally, if you want to keep him around and develop him, you're going to have to be rather successful rather quickly. Now, in terms of objectives for this year, the board want you to continue to qualify for European football, and in year 1, you're going to be playing in the Europa League. The aim here apparently is to be competitive. I feel like it's possible to do a little bit better than that. Whilst Buadi is without a doubt the best young player in this team, Broholm is another player certainly worth being aware of. The versatile attacking Norwegian player has bags of potential. And Fernandez Pardo is another very exciting player who can play over on the other hand side of the pitch. And if you're thinking about managing this team just because of the young players I've shown, don't worry, you're going to be able to produce your own as well. Excellent youth facilities, above average youth recruitment. The training facilities here at Lille are great. Obviously, the big challenge is to take down PSG. Short term, though, try and develop some of those wonder kids. Before we go any further, have you not bought the game yet? Are you watching this video without having beta access? You should change that using today's sponsor. Football Manager 26 is nearly here, and with Fanatical, a Sega-approved retailer, you can pre-order for cheaper than Steam or Epic Games. Just hit the link down below or on screen and lock in your discount using the code WTS, plus get that early beta access. The deal runs all the way to launch, so don't miss it, and thanks to those of you that have used it for supporting the channel. Now let's get back to the video. For our next team, we are diving down to the third tier of the league. You might not have managed him before. It only was introduced in FM24. We're in the J3 with Tochigi City. Now, in real life, Tochigi have been a team on an absolute tear. Back-to-back promotions saw them get to the third tier of Japan last year for the first time in their history. And right now in real life, they are second and looking good for a third promotion in a row. Now, I'll be real with you. In terms of their squad in Football Manager, I think promotion that quickly is going to be a challenge. The first team squad, 16 players. Admittedly, you have got your second team. There's lots of players here. The quality really does drop off, though. Also, can anyone remember Peter Utaka? He was a bit of a legend years ago, I feel like, in Football Manager. He's 40 years old and he plays for Tochigi. Looking at the season preview for Season 1, firmly planted at a mid-table finish, I'm afraid to say. I will say, though, the board haven't quite got the memo. In your first season, they want you to qualify for the J3 playoffs. To do that, you need to finish in the top 6. Season 2, they want automatic promotion to J2, and by Season 3... build on that promotion. I guess eventually they want you to get to the top flight of Japan. That's obviously got to be the ultimate end goal of this save game. From a recruitment point of view, there is a little bit of money to spend, but you are going to have to wheel and deal smartly. And whilst it's not always advised, when I look at some of these first team players' values and ages, maybe there's a couple of them you could cash in on. I've done a few save games in Japan in FM24 and in FM26. I'm sure I'll head there at some point too. Really, really fun to manage in Japan. Tochigi City, a fun team if you're looking for a little foray, a little lower league adventure. Get them to J1, maybe make them the biggest team in Japan. They've got 2 promotions in a row. Go and make it free. The next team on this list, I'm sure, is on plenty of people's radars. It's Vitesse over in the Netherlands, starting with a 12-point deduction. Now, for those of you not up to date, Vitesse were formerly a team that competed up in European football, but last year were relegated and stripped of their licence from the top flight of Dutch football. They were re-given it back very recently, in fact, after the season had started, and they are now playing catch-up on everyone else. In Football Manager, you are actually getting to get the pre-season to try and plan stuff out. And because in real life, a lot of Vitesse's players left when they weren't granted a licence to continue playing football, you're basically left with the scraps of what remained and a load of young players to try and rebuild with. I know what you're thinking. Minus 12 points, team full of youth team players. At least there's some money right now. No, there's very little money to spend. It's going to be a challenging first season. Now, the only saving grace, if there ever was such a thing in this club situation, you can't actually get relegated below the second division of the Dutch Football League. I think in order to go down, a team in the division below you in real life has to go professional, or you have to go bankrupt, which you'd like to think at this point that won't happen to Vitesse. Saying all of that, there is a fair amount of debt to deal with at the club. So, yeah, that is going to be another aspect to this challenge. Look, some people want to do a save game where they get to spend a load of money. Some people like to torture themselves in Football Manager. If you're the latter, this could be a good save. For our next team, we are heading to Defensor Sporting and to Uruguay. Yeah, a South American team making the list today. I know that when people think of South American saves, they think of Brazil or Argentina, but Uruguay, I feel like, is an interesting proposition, especially if you like handling young players. In case you haven't noticed by the teams in this list, I do have a little tendency to enjoy training wonder kids up. And well, if that is you, Defensor Sporting is definitely the team for you. They are a team that competes at the top end of Uruguayan football, but they have a real foundation of youth that maybe you can use to take them to their first ever Copa Libertadores success. Before you get too carried away though, maybe you should focus on domestic success, because whilst they do have 4 First Division titles, the last one of those was in 2008. That said, in the last 3 years, Uruguay set up its brand new cup competition, and in its last 3 instalments, of which there's only ever been 3 instalments, Defensor Sporting have won it every single year. Aim number 1, I suppose, just keep this run going. On top of the great players you already have, you have some of the best youth recruitment in the whole world of football. Exceptional youth recruitment, great training and youth facilities as well. You are going to produce plenty of fun talent. I suppose the challenge with a save game like this is working out which players do you maybe sell on to Europe or the Middle East for a load of money, and which do you keep in the hopes they can guide you to domestic and continental success. In 2014, the club went all the way to the semi-finals of the Copa Libertadores. Unfortunately, in recent times, those expectations have perhaps gone down a little. They've never won the whole thing. They've never made it to the final. In your first year, the aim is to be competitive. Long-term aim, be best of the rest. No one wants to be best of the rest. Your long-term aim at this team should be to be the best team in Uruguay and then some. Great facilities, great young first team. Great team for your first beta save? I'll let you guys decide. For our next team in this list, we're heading to England, and we're heading to a team that, well, they're kind of a yo-yo team, except the yo-yo has dropped and hasn't gone back up in a little while. Yeah, after 3 seasons in the Championship, parachute money for Norwich City has dried up. And whilst their East Anglia rivals are having a fun season in the Premier League and coming back down, Norwich are, well, struggling a little bit. In real life, they're probably a lot worse off than they are in Football Manager. Hopefully you can do better than Manning. Now, in terms of why Norwich, I think they're an interesting team because you could cash in on your star man. In real life, they didn't sell him in the end, but Josh Sargent was linked with loads of moves away. There is a fair amount of interest at the start of a save game in him as well if you did want to cash him in. And that is a decision you are going to have to make rather early on, I think. Their team is full of potential. Look at this. Norwich's recruitment strategy really has been to try and sign undervalued, underappreciated players in their late teens, early 20s that haven't been given first-team opportunities and let them shine in the Championship. And in Football Manager, they have definitely got the potential to shine. Jacob Wright with his 16 passing looks like an absolutely sensational playmaker at 19 to build your team around. Svortau, I've definitely not said that correctly, 19-year-old Danish right attacking mid, looks really good. His physicals in terms of pace, exciting. Not too bad mentals as well for his age. And if you do decide to move on Josh Sargent, you have already got a striker at the club that might be capable of stepping up. Maybe not as young as some of the other players here, but Kvistgarden at 23 still looks like a really exciting player. And with that 17 aggression, he is going to enjoy pressing for you. Board expectation in year 1 is to record a top half finish in the Championship. Long-term aim, do what Norwich haven't been able to do in 2 decades and establish them as a Premier League team. Keep them up, use the youth team here, and keep them ahead of Ipswich, crucially. That's what the Norwich fans want to see. Now, I did tease that one of the teams is a near impossible task, and Ismaily is that team. We're heading to Egypt, a brand new league in Football Manager this year. It's always exciting when we get new leagues added to Football Manager, and Egypt becomes only the 2nd African league to be playable in the base game of Football Manager. The Egyptian Premier League is an interesting league. Ismaily once upon a time were one of the big dogs in this country. In fact, they actually won an African Champions League once upon a time, but last year they had just 2 wins all season. And unfortunately, when you look at the season preview that has the likes of Al Ahly and Pyramids and Zamalek at the top, we have to scroll down to see Ismaily down at the bottom. When you take a first look at the first team, you're going to look at it and go, Jack, it's stacked with young players. Look, there's a 16-year-old right attacking mid here who looks absolutely quality in terms of his star ratings. And I'll be honest, the youth facilities and youth players at this club are absolutely amazing. We've got great training facilities, good youth facilities, excellent youth recruitment. Do you want to know what the issue with this team is? And this is not going to be a safe game for everyone. Let me go to the portal. Let me click on this inbox item. Yeah, you're not going to be able to make transfers for the first 2.5 years of this save game. That's right, if you want to do a Youth Academy Challenge save game, Ismaily is almost certainly the team for you. This is a team that can't sign anyone for 2.5 years, predicted to be at the foot of Egyptian football, but have a load of great young players, and you will get through some great new gens too. I feel like we should just look at more of the young players here. Conte, 17 years old, well-rounded centre mid. Abdel Salam here looks like a good little striker. Admittedly, with 6 finishing, maybe that's going to be problematic. And while sure, if you want to manage in Egypt and go to the Egyptian Premier League, there's easier teams out there. If you're a hardcore Football Manager fan who wants a challenge to start the year, Ismaily. Let me know how you get on with them down in the comments. Sometimes in the Football Manager beta especially, it's fun just to spend a whole load of money. So for that reason, Newcastle are in. Off the back of their League Cup win last year, Newcastle looked like a team that were on the rise and going to have a really fun summer ahead. And then the whole Isak saga happened. And whilst they did go on to sign Nick Voltmarder and Visser, who you could argue are going to plug a gap in the attack, there's still some more money to spend early doors. Yes, if you do dive into this save game, £45 million off the rip immediately to spend over £270,000 in the wages as well. So, yeah, if you want to go wild signing some new wonderkids in Football Manager, Newcastle are a team set up to allow you to do that. Just a word of warning though, the expectations at the club are rather high. Year 1, qualify for the Champions League, that's going to need a top 5 finish. But beyond that, Season 2, challenge for the Premier League title, and by Season 3, win the Premier League. That is your aim. A few years ago, I did a beta save with Newcastle United and I enjoyed it a lot, especially with the brand new Premier League graphics. They're a great club to jump in and experience them firsthand with your first save game. And last but not least, in today's video, I thought we'd throw a curveball in for number 10. We have here London City Lionesses, who play in the WSL. Yes, women's football, of course, has been added to Football Manager this year. London City have a tycoon owner in Michelle Wang, and they're in fact the only independent team that isn't aligned with a men's team at senior level in the whole of the WSL. You look through all the teams listed, they kind of stand out, don't they? Now, because they're a team that don't exactly have a big fan base, their recruitment strategy has revolved around signing superstars alongside some young, exciting players for the future. And with all the money you're going to have to spend, you can continue that philosophy. They picked up Grace Sciorro in the summer for £1.4 million. As a newly promoted team, they smashed the world record transfer for a female footballer, which is absolutely wild. And whilst I could tell you a whole load more about this team, that would be a waste of time because I've already done a season managing them and uploaded a video surmising that season that you can watch on screen right now. There's loads of FM26 content I'm going to be dropping here on the channel. Make sure to be subscribed and keep up to date. Tomorrow, our Let's Play begins. I'm not going to say who I'm managing yet. You'll have to come back to find out.